congratulations first on being a grandmother.
Oh, thank
so,
you. Well, I am, but these are
but
going to be two newbies.
that's awesome. Well,
Right?
congratulations.
Thanks.
But and I think that is that's why I'm very laid back on my approach, and I don't have to prove to anybody that anything exists because I've seen a lot of crazy shit myself, and I know it does. And most people that are skeptics, that are hardcore skeptics, that come out and attack people, psychologically they're afraid to believe in something else. And I think that is exactly what it is. And they're just because. Can I tell a little story real quick?
Please do. Yes. That's why you're here,
Okay.
dude. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just want to make sure. I have there in the neighboring town. There is a minister of a big church, and he contacted me one time. He said, "Hey, I would love to meet you, and you want to meet at Chick-fil-A? Well, I'll buy you breakfast." Hey, I love meeting people. I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And I thought basically he was going to try to proselytize me. He was going to try to save me or whatever. And I was very callous. And he said, "Well, I like your channel. I watch your channel. I've got I got a doctorate in divinity, but I wanted to ask your opinion on something." I said, "Well, sure, ask away. I'm a pretty open person." He said, What would you do if I told you I saw a UFO in Raglan, Alabama?" And he stopped when he told me. He looked at me, and I thought, "Well, good for you. I'm excited for you. I mean, that's pretty freaking awesome." And he's like, "You don't seem surprised." I said, "Well, I hunt Bigfoot, okay? I mean, that's one step over. I'm not going to be surprised."
It's just across the street. Yeah.
Yes, and I told him, I said, and so what this guy was having, he was having a crisis in his theology. And because he had saw something, he had saw it. It was in a field. He drove by it, slowed down. It went above the trees
landed?
and was gone. Yeah, it was landed. It was crazy. So he
Did
told me,
he
he said, "Man, I have
report
a
that?
problem."
I bet he didn't
He said he
report
did.
that.
Well, his position, he was in a very precarious. He was a big part of a big church, and so he told me. He says, "What am I supposed to do about this?" I said, "What do you mean?" I says, there is accounts of these things in the Bible, and there is people that talk about these things, and just because you have seen it, don't mean that you're a bad person." So I've talked with you, I think, about this. I know I've talked to Frank about this psychology of an experience, that all of a sudden everything is ordered in the world, and then you see something, and then all of a sudden nothing makes sense. And this is what happened with this guy. I'm still good friends with this guy now. And so this happened to this man, and but now, he's got this awesome secret. He's probably told more people, but it don't mean he had to give up his religion, but he just got, I believe, a personal belief, God allowed him to see that, for his understanding, for whatever. So people go through a weird.
Somebody's going to need that from him later. I agree.
Yes. So it's really amazing. I call it the psychology of experience. People have experiences, and then they, it's funny though, Kat. I will have people come up to me and they'll be like, "Okay, now, I don't want you to think I'm crazy." And I'm like, "Man, I got 200 videos on YouTube on Bigfoot. I'm already there." And then they'll tell me, and they'll look at me, and I'm like, "Well, that's cool."
Yeah.
And, "You don't think I'm crazy?" "No, I don't think you're crazy. It's like if you saw a spirit or a ghost or whatever." I love that. I love talking to people about it. I love hearing experiences. That's why I post so many questions on the Alabama Paranormal and Bigfoot Facebook.
I love those. And
I can come up with some doozies, can't I?
Yes, you can. And for those that don't know, his Facebook page, Alabama Paranormal and Bigfoot, you need to go like that because there is so much information there. The videos are there. The information is there about his experiences and the other members of that page. It's a great page. And just Alabama Paranormal and is spelled out, and Bigfoot. Right. So go like it, or at least check it out, because you're going to see stuff, and it's going to make you go,
And if you ask people, I'm a very social person, and I am not afraid. I asked the other day, because I've been reading a book, the Past Lives book with children.
Right.
How many of your children have had And we got some amazing responses, and several blew me away. I mean, and you cannot, whatever religion you practice, you cannot say that something is out there, the paranormal or the Bigfoot world. You can just, you can do it and stick your head in the sand, but you cannot. It is something I'm very passionate about, not just Bigfoot, but the paranormal. Things happen. Now, when you add the woods to it, that adds a whole new definition of just things happening, because things happen in the woods. Well, I don't ever see it. Well, you're not out there enough. People are not out there enough.
Well, that's like with the ufology, okay? When I was going to tell you later, but I'm going to put this out here now in case there's someone else who may have had an experience like that and be having an existential crisis because they're questioning their faith or whatever.
Yep.
And I know this show is about you. This is going to be just a really quick thing since you brought that up with a minister who saw this on the ground. But I heard Eric Von Daniken speak numerous times this summer. And I was very fortunate to do that. But what he would say, and it was something that he felt like was imperative that people understand. The book titled Chariots of the Gods has a question mark at the end of it.
That's right.
And when he began questioning these things, he was a child in Switzerland, and one of the priests at his school said, "There's another book," and he shared the Book of Enoch with them. Yep. And it was at some library in their town, which I found fascinating. But and Daniken was talking, and he said, through all of my experiences and all of my research, no matter how many universes there are, no matter how many multiverses there are, I've never lost my God. I have never lost my God, because no matter what happens, when you get to the end of all these universes, when our satellites get to the end, when we start finding whatever, something still created that. If you're a Big Bang theorist, something created that. It did not happen in a void. The components had to be in place, and they had to be put in place. He said, so I have never, since I was a child, lost my God. And people who are experiencers need to understand that, because just because you experience the paranormal from any facet, whether it's cryptids, ghosts, ufology, whatever, that doesn't mean that you are stepping away from God. If anything, you're experiencing more of what He created than the average person is. And it's okay. It's okay to do that. And you don't have to be afraid. If you're being gifted with something from another realm trusting you enough to expose itself to you, that's a gift. And they're not, everything is not demonic. Very few things are. And if I come across one, you better believe I am getting someone who is trained and dealing with that. And that's what will help my client, because me muddling about acting like I might know what I'm doing is not going to help a client. It will get both of us in trouble. So anyway, I'm stepping away from my soapbox now. And
no, but I think that I think that is, if there is any kind of indicting any kind of whether you're Christianity, Buddhist, or whatever, of any kind of religion community, is this: when people are having issues of a spiritual nature, most of the people turn away from it or scared to death of it. And one of my biggest gripes is, if you are called to a ministry, whatever it is, Buddhism, Protestant, whatever, then if you have a gift, you should use it. If you don't use it, that to me, but that's strictly my opinion. And if somebody needs help, that's they've been put in your realm for a reason to help them. But I think that's the biggest indictment of a lot of religion, is there is no helping. But there isn't some. So, but speaking of odd things in the woods, 2 weeks ago I got a report. There's a place south of Cheehaw called Cheehaw Falls, and it's a real pretty waterfall. And there was a group of college girls that were hiking north, and they were going to end up at Cheehaw. I started off at Cheehaw Falls. It's real rugged terrain, and one of these young ladies emailed me. She said, well, may I contact you and tell you about an experience I had on the Odom Scout Trail. Or not Odom Scout Trail, Odom Trail. I think it's called that. I said, sure. And I knew exactly what she was going to talk about because I've got 16 reports just north of the falls of people walking up the mountain and come across 3 robed people in white robes hovering just about a foot off the ground, not very tall, and then they see these things and they disappear. And so she called me and she told me exactly what she saw, and it was the exact same thing. Now, my question to you is, what is that? I mean, is it a fairy? Is it something to do with fairies? It's just in this one spot. I've got
How big are they?
16 reports. They're 2 to 3 feet tall.
Not a fairy.
They're not very tall at all, but they're just right off the ground, a foot off the ground, and they're usually facing the hikers, facing south, 3 of them. They're in white. These people all the time is white cloaks, can never see their faces. So I've never heard of that one. But the reason I happened to, I got this report 2 weeks ago. It's just in this one area, and I'm thinking, what the holy hell is this?
Well, I mean, do they feel, when you got that report, were there feelings of apprehension? Were they just surprised?
No, but they're very peaceful. Very, very peaceful. Yeah, surprised. Oh, yeah.
Well,
but just
yeah.
very peaceful. And the other reports was just very peaceful, and they thought maybe it was just maybe some druids out in the woods. And one lady used that word, with druids,
Right.
and I was like, well, I mean, not hovering off the ground like that, I'm pretty sure.
No, I'm pretty sure they don't hover. But I don't think they're fairies.
Yeah.
I think that fairies are... I have a hard time with fairies, but I had a hard time with lights too, and then I saw them. So,
Yeah.
I think that fairies are smaller. And
Yeah.
I think that I had a very interesting encounter with a young man at the Golden Temple. One time he was telling me, because I was going to do an investigation at Ruffner Mountain, and he told me that he had been there and had done something very valiant, and that the Queen of the Fairies showed herself.
Wow.
Okay?
That's cool.
And she was taller, but probably not that taller either. And,
Right.
It's one of those things that I really struggled with. And, but he also told me that he was a magical person. And I said, oh, you're a witch? And he said, no, I'm magical.
Right.
My parents are magical. And I said, oh, okay.
Right.
I had never met someone who described themselves that way. And
Yeah.
it was a weird experience because there was interaction there, psychic interaction, not physical. And so anyway, it was an interesting thing, but I don't think that fairies would be hooded.
Right.
I don't think that they would be that big. And from what I understood, his experience with the Queen of the Fairies at Ruffner Mountain was that she was very dramatically beautiful and very happy to be. And so when she showed herself, then, it was basically, this is my gift that you can see my beauty kind of a thing. Right?
Right.
So that was interesting to me. But I think that those probably are not druids, but that they could be a form of elemental.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, you're
And-
right. You're right.
Because those are guardians of the earth as a druid would perceive one.
Right.
So
Right.
I've just never seen a beautiful elemental.
No,
But-
and I just put it in my files. Another weird occurrence.
Well, I
You
would
know.
like to go there.
Yeah, I can take you there. I know exactly.
Okay.
I've actually been up there with GPS. It's actually very easy I mean, it's a 30-minute walk, but it's a brisk 30-minute walk from the parking lot. It's not very hard to get there. And I've even searched. I started